The most important person in your life is you. Yet too many people live as if they are extras in their own story, seeking validation, chasing approval, and neglecting their own potential. But what if I told you that the greatest thing you can do for the world is to become the best version of yourself? Tonight, I want to challenge you to make a decision that will change everything, to prioritize you. Because when you grow, everything around you transforms. The most powerful force in the world is not money, not fame, not even influence. It's self-discovery. Because when you discover who you really are, you unlock something greater than success. You unlock purpose. And purpose is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. The problem is most people never take the time to find out who they are. They live their entire lives trying to be what others expect, chasing validation, fitting into boxes they were never meant to fit in. But here's the truth. Until you know you, the real you, nothing in your life will ever align the way it should. Think about it. How can you fulfill a vision you don't even understand? How can you maximize your potential when you don't even know what it is? How can you lead a life of impact when you're still living under labels that were placed on you by people who never truly saw your worth? That's why the first and most important priority in your life should be you, discovering who you are, what you carry, and what you were born to do. See, the world has trained us to focus on everything else, careers, relationships, obligations, while completely ignoring the foundation of it all, self. And when you ignore yourself, that's why so many people feel stuck, frustrated, unfulfilled, because they've been climbing ladders that were never meant for them, chasing dreams that don't even belong to them. But when you take the time to prioritize you, something shifts. Clarity comes, confidence rises, direction becomes clear, and suddenly life starts working for you instead of against you. But let me warn you, self-discovery requires something most people aren't willing to do. Separation. You will have to separate yourself from certain environments, from mindsets that no longer serve you, from people who want you to stay the same, because the moment you start prioritizing you, you make some people uncomfortable. Why? Because people are comfortable with who they think you are. The moment you start discovering your true identity, their version of you is threatened. And when that happens, you have to make a decision. Do you shrink back to fit into their expectations, or do you rise into the person you were always meant to be? This is why self-discovery isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not selfish, it's strategic. Because when you know who you are, you stop wasting time, you stop seeking approval, you stop allowing fear to dictate your decisions. You start owning your life, owning your choices, owning your destiny. And here's the best part. When you discover you, the right people will find you. The right opportunities will align. The right doors will open. Because you're no longer moving through life as a shadow of yourself. You're moving as the real you. But there's something even more powerful than self-discovery. Something that will determine whether or not you actually become the person you were born to be. And if you don't master this, your discovery will never turn into transformation. Most people live their entire lives putting everyone and everything before themselves. Their jobs, their families, their responsibilities, until one day they wake up and realize they've lost themselves. They've poured so much into others that there's nothing left for them. But here's the truth. You cannot give what you do not have. How can you serve? How can you lead? How can you make an impact if you're running on empty? You must make yourself a priority. Now, let me be clear. This is not about selfishness. This is about strategy. Because when you are at your best, everything connected to you benefits. Your mind is sharper. Your decisions are wiser. Your energy is higher. But when you neglect yourself, everything starts to suffer. Your health, your peace, your relationship. Neglect always leads to decline. And the moment you stop prioritizing yourself, you start deteriorating mentally, emotionally, even physically. But society has conditioned us to believe that prioritizing ourselves is wrong. People will tell you you're being selfish, you're changing, you're too focused on yourself. But let me ask you, why is it considered selfish to take care of you? Why is it acceptable to exhaust yourself for others, but unacceptable to invest in yourself? The answer is simple. Because when you start prioritizing you, you become harder to control. You stop being manipulated by guilt. You stop being available for everyone's demands. You start setting boundaries. And suddenly, people who benefited from your neglect begin to call you selfish. But the truth is, you're not being selfish. You're being responsible. If you don't prioritize you, no one else will. Because people will always take as much as you allow. They will drain you, they will distract you, they will pull you in every direction until there's nothing left of you. And when that happens, what will you have to give? What will you have to build? What will you have to create? That's why your greatest responsibility is you, your time, your energy, your focus. These are your most valuable assets. And if you don't protect them, life will waste them. When you prioritize yourself, you stop operating from exhaustion and start operating from overflow. And that's when you become powerful. Because now you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're no longer reacting to life, you're creating it. You're no longer waiting for things to change, you're making them change. And the best part, the people who are truly meant to be in your life will respect it. The right relationships will honor your growth. The right environment will push you forward. Because when you rise, everything around you rises. But listen to me carefully. Prioritizing yourself is just the beginning. Because once you decide to put yourself first, you must make the most important investment of your life. And if you don't get this right, you will never reach your full potential. The greatest investment you will ever make is not in stocks, not in real estate, not even in a business. It's in you. Because no matter how much money you make, no matter how much success you achieve, if you are not growing, everything around you will eventually collapse. Look around. How many people spend their entire lives building careers, building wealth, chasing success, only to lose it all? Why? Because they spent years investing in things, but never invested in themselves. They built the business, but never built the mindset. They built the wealth, but never built the discipline. They built an image, but never built the character to sustain it. And when life hit, when challenges came, when the pressure got too heavy, everything crumbled. Because success without personal growth is a temporary illusion. This is why you must be your greatest investment. Because everything you desire, success, influence, impact, is a direct result of who you are becoming. And if you don't take the time to grow you, to develop you, to strengthen you, then nothing you build will last. The foundation will be weak, the structure will be unstable, and eventually it will all come crashing down. But here's the problem. Most people are waiting for someone else to invest in them. They're waiting for validation, waiting for opportunities, waiting for a mentor, waiting for someone to come along and say, you're valuable. But let me tell you something. If you don't see your own value, no one else will. If you don't believe in you, why should anyone else? If you don't take yourself seriously, why should the world? Think about this. When you buy a cheap product, You treat it carelessly. But when you buy something valuable, something expensive, you protect it. You handle it with care. You place it in the right environment. Now, let me ask you, how are you treating you? Are you handling yourself like something valuable? Or are you treating yourself like something cheap? Are you protecting your time, your mind, your energy, or are you wasting it on things that drain you? Because the way you treat yourself determines the way the world will treat you. When you invest in you, everything changes. Your mindset shifts, your confidence grows, your skills sharpen, your opportunities expand. Because the world makes room for those who know their own worth. But if you don't invest in yourself, if you don't prioritize your growth, then no matter how hard you work, no matter how much effort you put in, you will always hit a ceiling. Not because life is unfair, not because you're unlucky, but because you've outgrown your own capacity. And this is why personal development is not an option, it's a requirement. Because growth is what separates those who rise from those who remain the same. But here's the real question: how do you measure your worth? Because if you don't understand your value, you will continue to settle for less than you deserve. Your self-worth is the foundation of your entire life. The way you see yourself determines how you think, how you act, what you tolerate, and what you attract. If you don't understand your own value, you will settle for things that are far beneath your potential. You will accept relationships that drain you, opportunities that limit you, and environments that shrink you. Not because you aren't capable of more, but because you don't believe you deserve more. And that's the real problem. Most people don't struggle with talent, they struggle with self-worth. They have the skills, the intelligence, the potential, but deep down, they don't believe they are enough. And because they don't believe it, they never act on it. They play small. They stay in toxic situations. They wait for permission. They settle for just enough when they were meant for so much more. But here's the truth. You set the standard for how the world treats you. If you treat yourself like an option, people will treat you like an option. If you undervalue yourself, people will take advantage of you. If you allow disrespect, disrespect will continue, because life does not give you what you wish for. It gives you what you demand through your standards. Let me ask you something. How do you see yourself? When you look in the mirror, do you see someone powerful, someone with purpose, someone worthy of success? Or do you see someone who has to prove their worth to others? Because until you change your perception of you, nothing in your life will change. But here's the challenge. You cannot build self-worth in a toxic environment. If you surround yourself with people who don't recognize your value, who constantly belittle you, who drain your confidence, then you will always struggle to see your true potential. The wrong environment will suffocate your greatness. You must position yourself in places that elevate you, around people who challenge you, in spaces that pull the best out of you. Because growth does not happen in comfort. If your surroundings don't respect your worth, it's time to change your surroundings. The moment you start acting on your worth, everything shifts. You stop chasing things that don't align with your vision. You stop begging for opportunities that were never meant for you. You stop allowing fear to keep you small. Because now you know who you are. You know what you bring to the table. You know that settling is no longer an option. And when you operate from that mindset, life responds differently. The right people come, the right doors open, the right opportunities appear. Because when you value yourself, the world has no choice but to value you too. But here's the key. Self-worth is only the beginning. Because knowing your value means nothing if you don't take action. And if you don't understand how to master this next principle, you will keep living below your potential. There is a law of personal value that governs success. And most people don't even realize it. The world does not reward need, it rewards value. You don't get paid for how long you've struggled. You don't get recognized just because you exist. You are rewarded in life based on the level of value you bring. The higher your value, the greater your influence, the bigger your opportunities. But here's the mistake most people make. They wait for someone else to validate their worth. They wait for a promotion, wait for applause, wait for permission. But let me tell you something. If you don't establish your value, the world will decide it for you. And the world will always undervalue what does not demand respect. That's why some of the most talented, gifted, and hardworking people still struggle, because they never establish their own worth. They let people dictate their salary, their potential, their future. But the truth is, no one will value you more than you value yourself. Let's get real. Have you ever wondered why two people can be in the same field, doing similar work, but one gets paid 10 times more than the other? It's not because they work harder. It's because one of them has positioned themselves as more valuable. They've mastered a skill, built expertise, developed a reputation, and now they name their price. So let me ask you, what makes you valuable? What do you bring to the table that makes you irreplaceable? Because if you cannot answer that question, you will always live at the mercy of others. Waiting for a raise, waiting for a break, waiting for someone to recognize you. But when you understand your own worth, you start waiting and you start setting the terms. The key is simple. Increase your value. Every day you should be sharpening your mind, growing your skills, expanding your knowledge. Because the more valuable you become, the less you have to chase opportunities. Opportunities start chasing you. People are drawn to value. Companies pay for value. The marketplace rewards value. If you want to change your life, increase your worth. But let me warn you, when you start raising your value, some people won't like it. They were comfortable when you were average. They liked it when you settled. But the moment you level up, you become a problem. You start outgrowing places. You start attracting better opportunities. You start demanding more. And the people who benefited from your small thinking will try to pull you back down. That's why this next principle is so critical. Because once you establish your value, you must master the art of owning it. And if you don't learn this, all your growth, all your progress, all your potential will still go to waste. There's one thing that separates those who rise from those who remain average. It's not just talent. It's not just hard work. It's the ability to own their value. Because knowing your worth means nothing if you don't walk in it with confidence. Most people struggle with this. They know they have gifts, they know they have potential, they know they are capable of more, but they hesitate. They shrink. They downplay themselves in rooms where they should be standing tall. Why? Because they fear rejection. They fear judgment. They fear being seen as too much. But here's the truth. Playing small does not protect you. It limits you. Look at the most successful, most impactful people in any industry. They are not necessarily the smartest. They are not always the most talented. But one thing they all have in common, they move with conviction. They speak with confidence. They present themselves like they belong. And because they believe it, the world believes it too. That's the power of owning your value. When you know who you are, when you Understand what you bring to the table. When you stop waiting for approval, you start moving differently. You stop begging for opportunities and start creating them. You stop accepting less than you deserve. You stop allowing fear to keep you silent because now you know you belong. But here's where most people get stuck. They allow imposter syndrome to talk them out of their greatness. They walk into the room and start doubting themselves. They see others succeeding and think, maybe I'm not good enough. They compare, they hesitate, they hold back, and in doing so, they block their own opportunities. But listen to me, if you're in the room, you belong there. If the opportunity is in front of you, you're ready for it. Stop second guessing yourself. Stop waiting for someone to confirm what you already know. Own it. Walk in it. Demand what you deserve. Because here's what happens when you finally own your value. You stop chasing, you stop waiting, and you start acting. You stop hoping, and you start expecting. And that shift changes everything. But let me warn you, when you start owning your value, you will make some people uncomfortable. Because the moment you stop playing small, you expose those who still are. And some will try to pull you back. They'll call you arrogant. They'll say you've changed. But the truth is, you didn't change, you evolved. And when you evolve, you can no longer fit in places that require you to shrink. That's why this next principle is critical. Because once you own your value, you must learn how to protect it. And if you don't master this, you will constantly find yourself being drained, distracted, and pulled back into spaces that no longer serve your growth. Once you know your value, once you own your value, the next step is even more important. You must protect it. Because the moment you start rising, the moment you start stepping into your true potential, distractions will come. And if you are not careful, those distractions will drain you, slow you down, and pull you away from your destiny. Here's what most people don't realize. Not everything that wants your attention deserves it. Not every argument is worth engaging in. Not every invitation is meant for you. Not every relationship is designed to go where you're going. Some things are sent into your life for one reason, to pull you off course, to waste your energy, to get you so caught up in nonsense that you stop moving forward. And if you don't learn to protect your value, you will keep getting distracted by things that don't deserve your time. Think about it. How much of your energy have you wasted on things that did nothing for your growth? How many hours have you spent explaining yourself to people who never wanted to understand you? How many times have you lowered your standards to fit into spaces that could never contain your potential? That's what happens when you don't protect your value. You start compromising. You start entertaining things that don't align with who you are becoming. And before you know it, you're exhausted, frustrated, and wondering why you feel stuck. Listen carefully. Not everyone will respect your value. Some people only want access to you because of what they can take from you. They see your energy, your wisdom, your strength, and they want to attach themselves to you, not to add, but to drain. And if you're not careful, you will keep pouring into people, into situations, into environments that were never meant to hold what you carry. You cannot afford to do that. You must guard your time. You must protect your energy. You must be intentional about who and what you allow into your life. Because every moment you spend in the wrong place with the wrong people doing the wrong things is time you could have spent building, growing, and becoming everything you were meant to be. That's why boundaries are so important. Not just physical boundaries, but mental and emotional boundaries. You don't owe everyone access to you. You don't have to respond to every request. You don't have to be available for every conversation. It's not selfish, it's necessary. Because if you keep giving yourself away to everything and everyone, you will have nothing left for what truly matters. But here's the challenge. Protecting your value requires you to make tough choices. And sometimes that means walking away from things that once felt comfortable. And if you don't have the strength to do that, you will keep sabotaging your own growth. This is why the next principle is so critical. Because once you protect your value, you must learn how to position yourself for the next level. And if you don't master this, you will keep repeating the same cycle. Once you protect your value, once you guard your energy, there is one more step you must take. You must position yourself for the next level. Because knowing your worth, owning your worth, even protecting your worth means nothing if you stay in the same place. Too many people limit themselves because they refuse to move. They refuse to grow. They refuse to step into unfamiliar territory. But listen, you cannot reach your next level while clinging to your current one. Growth requires movement. It requires expansion. It requires the courage to step out of what is comfortable and into what is possible. This is where many people get stuck. They want more, but they don't want to change. They want success, but they don't want to leave behind the habits, the mindset, the people, the environments that are keeping them small. But here's the truth. You cannot elevate your life while staying attached to what's beneath you. If you want to rise, you must position yourself where growth is happening. Let me ask you, where are you positioned right now? Are you in an environment that challenges you? Are you surrounded by people who inspire you? Are you feeding your mind with knowledge that expands you? Or are you stuck in a place that is comfortable, familiar, easy, but keeping you stagnant? Because positioning matters. Your next level is not coming to you. You must position yourself for it. If you want new opportunities, you must step into new spaces. If you want growth, you must be willing to stretch. If you want success, you must align yourself with people who are already there. Think about a tree. It only grows in the right soil. You could have the seed of greatness inside you, but if you're planted in the wrong place, you will never see the fullness of what you could be. Because success is not just about who you are. So what does this mean? It means you must start being intentional about where you spend your time, who you spend it with, and what you invest in. You must seek out mentors, expand your knowledge, enter rooms where people think bigger, dream bigger, move differently. Because if you keep positioning yourself in the same old places, with the same old habits, around the same small-minded people, your results will never change. But here's the challenge. Positioning yourself for the next level will often require letting go. Letting go of excuses, letting go of relationships that no longer align, letting go of mindsets that keep you trapped. And if you don't have the courage to release the old, you will never have the capacity to receive the new. This is why the next principle is so crucial. Because once you position yourself for the next level, you must learn how to stay consistent. And if you don't master this, all your progress, all your momentum, all your breakthroughs will slowly fade away. Once you position yourself for the next level, there is one thing that will determine whether you stay there or fall back. Consistency. Because success is not about what you do once, it's about what you do daily. This is where most people fail. They start strong, they make progress, they experience breakthroughs, but then they stop. They lose momentum, they get comfortable, they think they've arrived. But listen, growth is not a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. If you don't stay consistent, everything you've built, everything you've worked for, everything you've sacrificed to achieve will slowly slip away. Think about it. How many people do you know who started with so much potential but never fulfilled it? How many people do you know who had great ideas, great dreams, great talent, but they never stayed the course? Because talent without consistency leads to wasted potential. Passion without discipline leads to frustration. And success without consistency leads to failure. This is why discipline is more important than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. It's based on feelings, and feelings are unpredictable. One day you're excited, the next day you're tired. One day you feel inspired, the next day you feel discouraged. But discipline is different. Discipline says, I will show up even when I don't feel like it. Discipline says, I will keep going even when I don't see the results yet. Discipline says, I will stay committed even when the process gets hard. That's the mindset of people who truly succeed. They don't rely on feelings, they rely on habits. Because your future is not shaped by what you do occasionally, it's shaped by what you do consistently. Let me ask you, what are you doing every day to get closer to your goals? What habits are shaping your future? What systems have you put in place to ensure that your growth never stops? Because if you are not intentionally consistent, you will unintentionally decline. Success is like fitness. You don't get in shape by working out once. You don't build strength by lifting weights one time. You don't develop endurance by running only when you feel like it. You have to keep showing up day after day, week after week, month after month, even when it's tough, even when you don't see immediate results, even when no one is clapping for you, because consistency compounds. Every action you take, every step you make, every small effort, it all adds up. But here's the challenge. Staying consistent requires sacrifice. It requires giving up distractions. 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 It requires giving up It requires developing habits that align with where you are going, not where you've been. And if you don't master this, all your progress, all your success, all your breakthroughs will be temporary. That's why this final principle is so crucial, because once you master consistency, you must learn how to leave lasting impact. And if you don't, everything you've built, everything you've achieved will die with you. You were not born just to exist. You were not created just to survive. You were sent here to make an impact, because true success is not measured by what you achieve for yourself. It's measured by what you leave behind. Everything you have learned, everything you have built, everything you have developed should not die with you. Your experiences, your wisdom, your knowledge, your journey, they were not just for you. They were meant to be shared, passed on, used to empower others. Because real success is not about how high you climb. It's about how many people you lift up along the way. Think about the greatest leaders, the most impactful individuals, the people who are remembered long after they're gone. They were not just great because of what they accomplished. They were great because they multiplied their greatness in others. They poured into people. They shared their knowledge. They created something that outlived them. That is the mindset of true legacy. Because if everything you've done dies with you, then you've only lived for yourself. But if what you've built continues through others, then you've left a mark that time cannot erase. Let me ask you, who are you mentoring? Who are you teaching? Who are you pouring into? Because no matter how much you succeed, no matter how much you accomplish, if you are not helping others grow, you are missing the true purpose of success. You don't have to be famous to make an impact. You don't have to be rich to leave a legacy. You simply have to be intentional about what you give to the world. Your words, your actions, your time, your influence, they all matter. Because every seed you plant in someone else's life will continue to grow long after you are gone. But here's the challenge. Leaving an impact requires selflessness. It requires seeing beyond yourself. It requires understanding that your life is bigger than just you. And if you don't embrace that, you will spend your years chasing success instead of creating significance. Because success is about what you gain, but significance is about what you give. Success may make you known, but significance will make you remembered. Success may bring you rewards, but significance will bring you a legacy. And at the end of the day, legacy is what truly matters. So now the question is, what will you do with what you've been given? How will you use your gifts, your wisdom, your experiences to make a difference? Because at the end of your life, it won't be about how much you had, it will be about how much you gave. Live with purpose, move with intention, build something that will outlive you. Because the greatest measure of your life will not be in the years you lived, but in the impact you made. Now is your time, your moment, your opportunity. Make it count.